Today, we're going to talk about something that sounds impossible, but for many people, it's already starting to happen. Offices closing, phones ringing for hours with nobody answering, empty desks, locked doors, and millions of people wondering one terrifying question: who is going to help me now? And the scary part is this isn't about some distant future anymore. This is happening slowly, quietly, right in front of us. One employee leaves, another office cuts staff, one more department disappears, and suddenly the people who spent their entire lives depending on these systems are left standing alone, confused, stressed, and desperate for answers. Because when an office closes, it's not just a building shutting down. It's a mother trying to get survivor benefits for her children. It's an elderly man waiting for his retirement payment to buy groceries. It's a disabled worker praying somebody answers the phone before the electricity gets shut off. It's real people, real fear, real lives. And most people still don't understand how serious this can become. They hear words like budget cuts or staff reduction and think it's just another political story on television. But behind those words are exhausted families sitting at kitchen tables trying to figure out how they're going to survive another month. Behind those words are people refreshing bank accounts, waiting for money that never arrives. Behind those words are communities slowly losing the support systems they trusted for decades. I've seen situations where one missing worker caused chaos for hundreds of people. One closed office forced elderly citizens to drive hours for help. One delayed application left families trapped in panic, confusion, and heartbreak. And now imagine that happening everywhere at the same time. That's why this conversation matters so much today, because the people who will suffer the most are not the powerful, not the wealthy, not the people making decisions from comfortable offices far away from the consequences. It will be ordinary people. Retirees, veterans, disabled citizens, widows, small town families, people who already feel like they're barely hanging on. And the hardest part is that many of them did everything right. They worked hard, paid taxes, followed the rules, trusted the system, and now they're waking up to a world where help feels farther away every single day. So today, we're going to talk honestly about what's really happening, why offices are closing, why employees are disappearing, who is most at risk, and what this could mean for millions of people moving forward. Because once these systems start breaking apart, the stress spreads fast, the fear spreads fast, and the damage reaches people long before the headlines finally catch up. There was a time when people believed an office would always be there when life became difficult. A place with lights on, workers inside, phones being answered, and someone willing to help during the hardest moments of life. People trusted that when they lost a job, needed benefits, faced an emergency, or simply needed answers, there would always be a door open somewhere. But now, something frightening is beginning to happen across the country, and millions of people can already feel the ground shifting beneath them. One by one, offices are becoming quieter, desks are sitting empty, experienced workers are disappearing. The phones keep ringing, but nobody picks up. And for many families, that silence is becoming terrifying because this is not just about buildings closing, this is about human lives. This is about a retired father checking his bank account every morning, hoping his payment arrives on time. This is about a single mother trying to fix paperwork before her children lose support. This is about elderly people standing outside locked doors wondering where everyone went. It's about ordinary people who spent their entire lives working hard and believing the system would never abandon them. And the most heartbreaking part is how quietly this is happening. No alarms, no giant warning signs, just small changes that slowly grow into massive problems. One office closes in a small town. A few employees leave. Waiting times become longer. Confusion spreads. Stress grows. And suddenly, people who were already struggling are pushed even closer to fear and uncertainty. But this moment is also a wake-up call. It reminds us how deeply connected we all are. When help disappears for one family today, it can disappear for another tomorrow. That's why people must stay informed, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay united. Because in difficult times, communities survive when people help each other, protect each other, and refuse to let fear win. Fear does not always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it arrives quietly, slowly, one unanswered phone call at a time, one office door locked in the middle of the day, one confused worker saying, "I'm sorry, there's nobody here to help you." And for millions of ordinary people, that fear is starting to become real. Imagine waking up early in the morning because you need help desperately. Maybe your payment never arrived. Maybe your medical coverage suddenly stopped. Maybe you filled out paperwork months ago and still have no answers. You drive for hours hoping someone inside the office can guide you, calm you, tell you everything will be okay. But when you finally arrive, the parking lot is empty, the lights are off, the office is closed. That moment changes people because most families are already carrying heavy burdens. They are fighting rising bills, expensive groceries, rent payments, medical problems, and uncertainty about tomorrow. They don't have extra savings sitting in the bank. They cannot afford endless delays or confusing mistakes. For them, one missing payment can become a disaster. One delayed appointment can mean losing electricity, losing medicine, or losing hope itself. And the people suffering the most are often the ones who worked the hardest their entire lives. Elderly citizens who spent decades paying taxes, disabled workers who can no longer physically continue, widows trying to survive after losing the person they loved most, families raising children while trying to stay strong during impossible moments. What makes this even more painful is that many people feel invisible. They feel forgotten by the very systems they trusted for years. But their struggles matter, their voices matter, their lives matter. And in moments like this, people begin realizing something powerful. When systems fail, human kindness becomes more important than ever. Communities become stronger when neighbors help neighbors, families protect families, and ordinary people refuse to abandon each other during difficult times. Most people think big crises begin with big events. Huge announcements, massive disasters, loud warnings on television. But sometimes the biggest problems begin with something small that almost nobody notices at first. One employee leaves, one office cuts hours, one department loses funding, one experienced worker disappears after years of helping people. And little by little, the entire system starts to weaken. That is how suffering quietly grows. At first, people think it's only a temporary problem. They tell themselves the phones will work tomorrow. The office will reopen next week. Someone will eventually answer their questions. But then the waiting becomes longer. The confusion becomes heavier. The stress becomes unbearable. Families begin spending entire days trying to solve one simple issue. Elderly people sit on hold for hours. Sick people wait months for help they desperately need. And ordinary workers feel trapped between fear and frustration. What makes this so dangerous is that the outside world often cannot see the pain immediately. From far away, it looks like nothing has changed. Buildings still stand, websites still exist, promises are still being made. But inside the lives of real people, everything feels different. Anxiety grows every single day because uncertainty is exhausting. Not knowing whether help will come can break a person emotionally, and yet, in the middle of all this struggle, something powerful begins to rise. People start waking up, communities begin paying attention, families begin helping one another more closely. Strangers start sharing information, support, and encouragement because they realize nobody can survive difficult times completely alone. History has shown us again and again that small changes can create massive consequences, but it also shows something beautiful. Ordinary people are stronger than they realize. Even during fear, even during confusion, even when systems feel broken, human beings continue fighting for each other. They continue standing back up. They continue searching for hope. And sometimes the smallest act of support can become the reason someone keeps going another day. The people who suffer the most during times like this are usually the people who already carry the heaviest burdens in life. The elderly man living alone who depends on one monthly payment to survive. The disabled woman waiting for approval while medical bills keep piling higher every week. the single parent trying to feed children while fighting endless paperwork and unanswered calls. These are not just numbers inside a system. These are human beings waking up every morning with fear sitting in their hearts. For many of these families, there is no backup plan, no extra savings hidden away, no powerful connections to call for help. They depend completely on systems that were created to protect ordinary people during difficult moments. And when those systems begin slowing down, closing offices, or losing workers, the pain reaches these families first. Imagine being 80 years old and driving miles to an office because you cannot fix your problem online. You wait patiently, carrying documents and shaking hands, hoping someone inside can guide you. Then you hear the words nobody wants to hear. We are short staffed. Or worse, the office is closed. In that moment, fear becomes real, confusion becomes real, loneliness becomes real, and still, millions of people continue fighting every single day. That is the part that deserves respect. Even when life becomes overwhelming, people keep pushing forward. Grandparents continue sacrificing for grandchildren. Sick workers continue searching for solutions. Families continue supporting one another despite exhaustion and uncertainty. There is something deeply inspiring about ordinary people refusing to give up when life becomes unfair. They may feel tired, stressed, and frustrated, but they keep moving because they love their families too much to stop trying. They remind us that strength is not about power or money. Real strength is waking up every day during hard times and continuing to believe tomorrow can still become better. And sometimes even one kind voice, one helping hand, or one moment of understanding can give a struggling person enough hope to keep fighting forward. There was a time when people could walk into an office and feel relief almost immediately. They knew someone would listen, someone would explain the paperwork, someone would answer the phone and guide them through the confusion. But now, across many places, those familiar faces are disappearing. Experienced workers are retiring, leaving, or being pushed out, and the people left behind are struggling to carry mountains of pressure alone. The phones keep ringing, the lines keep growing longer, the stress keeps building, and the people caught in the middle are ordinary families who simply need help. Think about the elderly woman who spends her entire morning trying to reach someone about her benefits. Hour after hour passes with no answer. Think about the disabled worker who cannot survive another month without support, but keeps hearing delays and excuses. Think about the father who lost his job and now fears his family may lose everything before anyone even looks at his case. These are the silent struggles happening behind closed doors every single day. And what makes this situation even more emotional is that many of the workers who used to help people care deeply about their communities. They knew the families, they understood the problems, they spent years learning how to guide people through complicated systems. But now many of those offices are losing the very people who carried that knowledge and experience for decades. When experienced employees disappear, it is not just a staffing problem. It becomes a human problem. Mistakes grow, delays grow, confusion spreads faster, people feel lost. They begin to feel like nobody sees them anymore. But even during moments like this, there is still something powerful that cannot be taken away. The strength of ordinary people standing together, families helping families, neighbors sharing information, communities supporting the weak, the elderly, and the forgotten. Because when systems become cold and distant, human compassion becomes more valuable than ever. And sometimes the greatest hope comes not from buildings or offices, but from people refusing to let each other face hard times alone. Many people still believe this is only about politics, budgets, or government decisions happening far away from their daily lives. But the truth is much bigger than that. This is about trust. Trust that when people work hard their entire lives, someone will be there to help them during difficult moments. Trust that systems built to protect ordinary families will still exist when those families need them the most. And when that trust begins to crack, fear spreads everywhere because this problem does not stay inside office walls. It follows people home, it sits with them at the dinner table, it keeps them awake at night wondering how they will survive if help never comes. A delayed payment may sound small to some people, but for others, it means empty refrigerators, unpaid rent, missed medicine, or children watching their parents struggle in silence. And the hardest part is that many people feel powerless. They feel like nobody hears them anymore. They feel trapped inside systems that move slower every single day while their problems become more urgent. Imagine needing answers immediately, but being told to wait weeks or months. Imagine doing everything correctly and still feeling invisible. But history teaches us something important during difficult moments like these. Human beings are stronger than broken systems. Communities are stronger than fear. Ordinary people have always found ways to survive even during uncertainty, hardship, and confusion. When times become difficult, something extraordinary often happens. People begin paying attention to one another again, families grow closer, neighbors help neighbors, strangers share advice, support, and kindness because they understand what it feels like to struggle. In moments when institutions feel distant, humanity becomes louder, and maybe that is the most important lesson of all. Difficult times reveal the true strength inside ordinary people, not wealth, not power, not titles. Real strength comes from compassion, patience, sacrifice, and the courage to keep moving forward even when life feels overwhelming. Because even during fear and uncertainty, hope can still grow when people refuse to stop caring about each other. Right now, millions of people are standing at a moment they never expected to face. They are watching offices close, workers disappear, and help become harder to find. And for many families, it feels like the world they trusted is slowly changing in front of their eyes. The systems they believed would always protect them suddenly feel uncertain, confusing, and far away. But moments like this also reveal something powerful about people. When fear spreads, people begin waking up. They begin paying closer attention. Families start preparing instead of assuming everything will always work perfectly. Communities start checking on elderly neighbors. Children begin helping parents understand confusing paperwork and online systems. Strangers begin sharing advice because they know someone out there may desperately need it. And that human connection matters more than ever right now. Because the truth is, difficult times can either divide people or bring them together. They can create panic, anger, and hopelessness, or they can remind people how strong they truly are when they stand side by side. Every challenge in history has shown the same thing. Ordinary people are capable of extraordinary courage when life becomes difficult. Think about the families who continue fighting even while carrying enormous stress. Think about the elderly people who still wake up every day with faith that tomorrow can improve. Think about workers who keep helping others even while they themselves feel exhausted and uncertain. There is inspiration in that kind of resilience. There is beauty in people refusing to give up on each other. And maybe this moment is a reminder that no system is more important than human compassion. Offices may close, employees may disappear, delays may grow worse, but kindness, support, and unity are things people can still choose every single day. That is why awareness matters now more than ever. Preparation matters. Helping one another matters. Because nobody truly knows who may need support tomorrow. The person struggling today could be your neighbor, your parent, your friend, or even you someday. And when people continue lifting each other up during uncertain times, hope becomes stronger than fear, and courage becomes louder than confusion.